and welcome to Trashy, the Golden Bachelor recaps. My name is Erica, and I'm your host.
My name is Cassandra, and I'm your other host. We would love to thank our Patreon subscribers for joining us here today. Hi, cuties.
Yes, and we'd also like to thank ABC for making such a trashy show for so many years.
Let's jump right in, Erica. We have a lot to talk about. This is episode 3, and we open on our angel Gary in tears. What was your immediate reaction to seeing this? Because personally, I was ready to fight someone over this man that I have never met.
I all caps in my notes. Who made Gary cry? I was like mentally searching for the soul that dared to bring Gary to tears, a la like John Wick. It's as if someone had just killed my dog. And I was like, well, I will hunt every single last one of you down.
He's too sweet for this show, and I'm just like already prepping myself for every episode to hurt me. But it starts in an amazing way after this foreshadowing of Gary crying. I'm going to put it out like a permission slip for everybody who's listening and for me and Erica. If we say Jerry, it's because Gary spells his name like Jerry. Are you okay with that, Erica?
It's Gerry. And here's the thing, we're behind the paywall. I say let's just call him Jerry. I say we give everyone that nickname. We give the nicknames. Like this is the secret content. This is the hidden scrolls.
Right. I mean, this is Jerry Gary, like you're paying good money to hear us not get this man's name right. Anyways, we start this episode by meeting the newly formed Golden Bachelor gang in the house, Askin, which stands for April, 6-inch heel Susan, Kathy, and Nancy.
And their tagline is, you asking, we're telling.
I mean, gossip little hens just clucking.
I personally loved it a little bit just because I've always wanted to be in that kind of gang, like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
we
mean,
have nicknames.
it comes as no surprise that this group got together based on like the first 2 episodes, and at least 2 out of 3 of these women are trashy. Like April gave that Facebook calendar. Kathy, we already said, is a trash queen. I see in your notes you called her a soundbite machine. I'm sorry I stole that from you, but it's a very good way to describe her. And of course, 6-inch heel Susan. I don't need to get into it, but I didn't gather from Nancy crying in her wedding dress that she was like part of this trashy group, but I'm here for it.
What we have to remember is that we're watching an hour and a half show of these people's days and weeks that are edited down. So maybe behind the scenes, Nancy is the biggest girl gang of them all. We just don't know because we're only shown the edit the producers want us to see.
Wow. Can you imagine that Nancy is like this villain, but like the producers aren't catching it because they're too busy dealing with like the crazy blunt shit that Kathy says?
I do like to think that. I do. Like, she's just somehow behind the scenes, just, like, cutting girls, like, Metamucil bags, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm hoping, that Nancy's a nasty Nancy.
Nasty Nancy. Okay,
Nasty
that's what we'll call her
Nancy.
now. Just, I
Yeah.
mean, based on all, no facts at all. She's Nasty Nancy. So I have a question for
These are
you.
wild accusations. We have no basis in fact.
Hey, babe, we're behind the paywall.
Yep.
My question for you is, if you were on this show, do you think that you would take this tactic,
Mhm.
or like of making a girl gang, or would you go through this solo? Because like obviously this gang can't influence Gary's decisions per se, but I mean, it's intimidating to be around a clique of girls.
Well, I was in a sorority for 4 years. I had 84
Right.
roommates at one point. For 3 years, I lived in a house with 84.
84?
There were 85 women in the house. Mhm.
Oh, fuck that, girl.
I mean, we weren't all just in, like, one big pile. Like, there were rooms, but I lived in a couple of, like, two-girl rooms, like, you'd have a roommate in the room, but then I purposely sought out 4-girl, 5-girl rooms and stuff like that, and I think it's for me, I think it's interesting. I think it taught me a lot of patience. I think it taught me a lot of, hey, not everybody was raised the way you are or approaches things the way you do. And there's a tact in asking Tessa to turn off her goddamn alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, there's a tact to keeping a bunny in the sorority house like I did. You know, I'm a piece
But
of
you're
shit.
not all
But
dating the same person. That's the thing, is that
that's the thing. Yeah.
you have to put yourself in the
Yeah.
headspace of like, you're surrounded by fellow competitors. So
Mhm.
do you compete from the start, or, like, do you try to make some friends and
Mhm.
then ultimately stab them in the back, or
Mm.
have to get the soundbite of you saying, well, if anyone was gonna get it, I'm glad it was her, even though you don't mean that.
So you're playing 2 games simultaneously. You're trying to win Jerry's heart, of course. Gary's heart, but you're also trying to win America's hearts, the viewers. So if
Right.
you are seeing like, "Hey, I'm in the middle of the rose ceremony every time. Haven't been asked on a one-on-one. We haven't kissed yet." Then you go, "Okay, I'm good in the house. I'm probably not gonna win Gary over." So you kind of tend to be like, well, I want to be America's favorite. I want to be be able to sell home chef ads and flat tummy tea when I leave this. So,
Or become the Golden Bachelorette.
oh, bum bum
I
bum.
can I can see that for a couple of these women. But you
Yeah.
know what? It's time now
Yeah.
for our first group date. And handsome McBeefcake host says that everyone is going on this group date. And it is, of course, everyone's worst nightmare, a talent show in Agora Hills.
At the Canyon Club, where Drac and the Swamp Rats opened for Corey Feldman, and I saw Tom Sandoval's band post Scandival. It was bad.
Wow. Fun
It's a
facts.
It's fun facts about the Canyon Club. It's like a venue, but it's also a supper club. So half the time you go to a show there, I've been to 2 shows there, so not a lot of based on. There are people that are absolutely, like, regulars and have a membership in some way. So whatever show's on, they're gonna go and have supper. You know, they're gonna have their nice dinner out regardless of the and so you'll see them being like, eating their little, flan for dessert and be like, "What the hell's all this?" It's fantastic, like, blend of characters, but yeah. Anyway.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that this was just an audience full of PAs.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
guessing. I
ABC pages.
Yeah, exactly. I personally get a little sweaty thinking about the idea of being put in a especially unprompted talent show.
Mhm.
I never it's crazy because I've performed a lot, but I've never done a talent show. For me, it feels like the
Oh,
expectations are too high because it's like, well, you
yeah.
entered in this. You said
Yeah.
this was your talent, so go for it. But have you
Yeah.
ever been in a talent show?
I've been in a handful, so when I was younger, I did pageants, as we've talked about, and so there's always a talent portion of the show that was judged. So let's say there were 10 contestants in the pageant. 7 out of 10 would pick singing because everyone thinks they
Sure.
can sing. 7 out of 10 would be off key and shitty, but 1 girl would actually be, like, good, right? But should a 15-year-old be seeing, like, Black Velvet? Absolutely not. Like, it's an insane move, but so I did and, like, one person might try dancing every once in a while. End of list, like, those were the 2 talents, was, like, 1
Nobody
out of
did
10 might be a
batons?
dancer, singer. No, batons. Fucking Sterling. We ain't never seen a baton is a cow whip, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
But I did comedic monologues. It was just basically stand-up that me and my mom just kind of wrote, like, in one long form. And the first year was about, I don't have a talent, and how do I pick a talent, and kind of making fun of the other girls' talents.
You were the Eddie Izzard of pageants.
I was a Susie Izzard. There I was. Absolutely. But yeah, it was,
Wow.
that
Is
was
is
me.
Eddie Izzard Susie now?
Yes. Susie, Eddie, they're open to both. Yeah.
Okay. My
Yeah.
apologies
But
to
it's
them.
Susie because I identify completely as, female, so it's kinda like works on both levels. Hey, guys.
Wow. The
It's
things
a
we learn
thinker.
behind the paywall. Okay, well, you're
Yeah.
not a child anymore. I
No.
hate to be the one to break the bad news.
Oh god.
So, you're not a baby anymore, Erica. So, what talent would you bring now to The Bachelor? Would you go for comedic monologues still?
Mhm.
Would you take that risk?
No. I don't wanna divide the audience too much. I
Yeah, your comedy has become quite political lately.
Yeah, yeah, I've got big thoughts on the Iran-Contra series.
Your
No.
whole bit about vaccines is, like, uncomfortable to watch, honestly.
I said
So,
what I said. No,
sure.
I can blow really large bubblegum bubbles, like,
Oh,
really giant ones, and in fact, anytime I would post them to Instagram, I would get DMs from strangers being like, "I'll pay you for bubblegum." Actually, I should start doing that for money, but
yeah, babe, that's a really slutty talent.
I know. But Gary Jerry could see, like, my jaw strength, my tongue flexibility, like, I
That's why
think it
it's a
could be
slutty talent.
a little sexy. What would you do now?
Okay, so I think I would be one of those girls who sang.
Mhm.
However, I would be, like, really annoying about it at first. I'd
Mhm.
be like, "Oh my god, like, no, don't make me. Don't make
Of course.
me." Like, and then I would just break out into something, like, beautiful and insane,
Mhm.
something within my range, because if I'm in my range, I can tear it
Mhm.
up a little bit. People are in tears. It's
Of
like
course.
those moments in, like, a Disney movie, and I'm Hilary Duff,
Mhm.
and I'm just the shy lead, or I'm Lindsay Lohan, I'm just the shy lead, and then I finally sing, and people are, like, lowering their sunglasses, putting down their skateboards, whatever, because it's a Disney movie. They're in awe of my voice, and then that one friend who believed in me the whole time is like, "Yes!" You know?
Yeah.
That, I think, would be how the talent show would go for me. Suddenly, I'm a teenager being shipped away in Italy with some adult man, and we're performing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the plot of the Lizzie McGuire movie. Okay, my bad, my bad.
Let's go through the talent show, what our talented ladies went through. So, yeah. Sandra did stand up. So she tells I'm gonna summarize it real quick. She tells a joke where a man's dating 2 women. He gives them $1,000. One spends $900 on clothes and puts $100 in the bank. The other puts $900 in the bank and spends $100 on clothes. Which one does he choose? And everyone's like, "Oh, boy, Sandra's getting political." And then she goes, "He marries the one with the biggest boobs." And I'm like, "Sandra, I fucking love you."
I'm like, did she write that? I probably not, right? But I
Probably a modified street joke, right? Like,
I thought it was funny, 6-inch heel Susan did karate, which was insane, like, broke a board, and then right after was like, "I did it!"
I would have paid anything to see her putting on the karate gi and doing, like, the tie at the waist, and then, like, staring in the mirror, like, tying the headband over her forehead, like, "Susan, you can do this. You're 6-inch Susan." You know what I mean? Like,
Like, where did they get that? They must warn them, "Hey, there's gonna be a talent show portion." Otherwise, like, you think that the PAs, I don't know, maybe it is in Agora Hills, they're like, "We need to get Susan a gi
yeah.
now."
Yeah. I need a gi stat. And then you just see like one 19-year-old PA loading up into the van, white knuckling it, and some line producer's like, "Okay, I have a location. It's down in Downey, so you need to get there in 30 minutes from Agora Hills." And you're like, "What?"
I
That's
wanted to be in film.
just wanted to make the movies. Just crying.
Ellen, she taught sex ed, which I guess she normally does for middle schoolers. She was having a blast up there. Pick Me Faith sang a song, of course. She already played guitar at Gary once, so naturally she's going to do it again.
I wanna push you around. Well, I will. Well, I will.
April did like hype. Or she like, what was she doing?
Poetry, beatnik poetry,
She was just, like, pumping up
preaching?
the crowd or something like that? I was a little bit confused
Yeah.
what she was doing, but everyone seemed to be vibing. I mean, she was like, "I nailed that," after. So,
I think April could have gotten up there and taken a nap for 3 minutes and then got off stage and been like, "I nailed that." April exudes confidence in a way for me. Like,
I
that
mean, after
insecure
that,
confidence of, like, I go to Pilates 7 days a week, and I only eat oatmeal, and, I feel like it's like a wound up type A confidence insecurity balance in her, but she's like, "I nailed that."
Kathy, Trash Queen Kathy did push-ups, which is hilarious, and it explains a lot because Kathy does kinda have, like, you know,
Guns. She got
Madonna
arms.
arms. Nasty Nancy did catching whipped cream.
So, listeners, if you aren't watching, she had whipped cream on one hand, and she, like, popped it with the other like, popped it up and then caught it in her mouth. I watched it probably 5 times just trying to figure out the physics of it, how can I recreate this at my next gathering or party?
Another person who right after they did it said, "I did it." Like,
Surprised.
shocked at their own ability to I can you imagine too that, like, Nasty Nancy to their producers like, "Yeah, I think I just need some whipped cream." And then that producer's like, "Man, you should see what Susan's PA is doing right now."
Right.
Think
It's just
you could
thinking about
bring
the whipped cream bikini a la Varsity Blues.
Leslie, the, you know, acclaimed sexy dancer, she, of course, danced, and then which 6-inch Susan commented that it was a bit much because her dancing like, she brought Jerry Gary up on stage and danced
Mhm.
on him a little bit, and then, like, the kind of, like, last minute bit was that under whatever, like, trash can or seat that she had on stage, there was, like, a brownies, and she was like,
Mhm.
"I also bake." Big finish, you know?
Yeah. If those weren't pop brownies, what are we doing here?
We had, last but not least, the most nervous of them all.
Mhm.
She reported herself as a talentless person, and it was Joan, pretty super hot Joan,
Um,
and she did poetry, rhyming poetry. The poem was, "I hope I don't vomit on your shoe," or at least I didn't vomit on your shoes or something like that. I don't
yeah.
remember. I didn't write it down.
It was I thought it was charming. Like,
Yeah, it was cute.
I just hope I don't vomit on your shoes.
Right.
That was
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you weren't the
I
only one
don't
who
know.
found it charming
Yeah.
because
Picked her as the winner.
Jerry picked her, and sexy dancer Leslie then, like, kind of got sad because
Mhm.
she was like, "I guess, like, I want people to see me more than just sexy dancer, I'm being punished for being too confident."
I love, I'm being punished for being too
That
confident.
sounds like some shit that I would say. In fact, I guarantee I have said it before. "I'm getting
Yeah.
punished for being too confident." Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
definitely come out of my mouth before.
I wasn't called on enough in 201 improv, and it's like, I'm just being punished because I'm too confident.
They know that I know this stuff. That's why they're not giving me as many opportunities. They know I don't need the
Yeah.
practice, the runs.
Picked someone up in an improv class one time,
"Oh, you're
a
not supposed to
la
do that, babe."
Mimi, I'm first on drag. It worked out, like, the person I looked at him and I was like, kinda did, like, a lift deal, and they were like, "Nod," but the teacher didn't see that,
No, you
and
can't.
I don't know why. At my younger times, I would do a fireman lift to anybody.
You fireman lifted someone?
Yeah, I, like, scooped him up, like, like, cradled him, like, in my arms. My arms
You
are
know what
straight
it is?
out, head,
It
feet.
this is they have to deal with, like, the Lyric Hyperion's, like, insurance.
Yeah.
That's why he probably got in trouble, not because you didn't have permission from the other person, is
Yeah.
that if they would have gotten hurt and sued, it would have been on UCB's ass. But
Yeah.
enough about UCB. Jerry, Gary, and Joan
Mhm.
have a one-on-one dinner where Joan reveals that, to be here, she left behind her daughter who just had a baby, her grandchild, and that it was a tough pregnancy
Oh,
and, hasn't been easy, but she left her behind.
you really have to release that, like, vulnerability super early on to cement it. If this is your one-on-one opportunity, you gotta have, "What's my sob story? What's my connection? Like, what's gonna bond us in some way to show that I'm a person?"
Erica, how many
Mhm.
candlelit wedding venues does production have ready to go on this show?
6 at any time. There's a
Okay.
PA just sitting in a dance hall, just waiting to get the call if he needs to light all the candles.
So Jerry Gary is quite touched that despite Joan's daughter having this, whatever tough pregnancy, that Joan decided to leave and be there with him. He toasts to their future, and Joan bags the rose.
He's thinking, "Listen, I'm Gary Jerry, I'm 72. Well, let's say in the 8 to 10 years, what if I'm enfeebled? She's gonna choose me over her family. I'm in a good spot."
Whoa, is that what you think that was coming from?
I have a theory about old Jerry Gary. We'll get into it.
Ooh, okay. Well,
But it wasn't foreshadowing or anything that, she brought up her daughter and toast to their future. Nothing like that, of course not.
no, no, of course. Oh, wait.
So the next day, production shows us Joan somehow has her phone, which they confiscate these people's phones, allegedly. And we learn that she got a bad text message from her daughter. She says she needs help. Please come right away. This baby is 20 days old. She's a new mom, a cesarean section. So she's been ripped open.
Yeah.
And she's like, Mama, I need you.
How much producer involvement do you think like happens in this? Because I don't
Hmm.
I don't want to bash Joan's daughter and be
No,
like, girl,
no.
like handle your kid, but at the same time, like, was this truly a coincidence, or is this like the Bachelor equivalent to
Yeah.
like killing someone off?
Yeah. I feel like that baby had an agenda. It was like, I don't want to step grandpa.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm blaming the baby, not the mother, not Joan. No, I think it's kind of a unique combo. Like the producers knew something may be afoot because of Joan's intro packages, what she's been telling him. Each one of these women has someone that is dedicated to them to be like, hey, this is what we should do to get the story, but also get you with Jared. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they knew. And so I'm sure the producer got the text in some way and then got, like their special permissions or whatnot. And I think they wanted to give her a good edit and a good send off. And I assume this text message might have come before the talent show or
I
something.
was gonna say, I think
Yeah.
I've heard of this before, or like they've gotten sued, or maybe I just saw it on Unreal, where like the producers know this information, but then they withhold it
Yeah.
in order to like have things line up, which is, I guess, fine in this instance because it was like the next day, but like not chill in
Hmm.
certain situations because it was like, you've known that my dad was dead for the past 3 days, or like things like that. And then that makes me feel like, now that you've said that, that someone helped Joan write her poem.
Hmm.
Wow. Okay, well,
Hmm.
we simply can't speculate, on anything further than the fact that Nancy's a nasty little girl. But my heart was shattered for them because, Gary Jerry shows up. He was there to take someone else on a date. He caught Joan in the parking lot in her PJs coming out to tell him the news. And he was like so happy to see her.
Yeah, like lit up. And Joan's hot.
Joan's hot.
Ah. So Gary Jerry was immediately in tears, and I was too. I was sad.
Sure.
I didn't find myself walking up to Winston and just hugging him, begging him not to die.
Yeah, no, they cooled it on the dead former spouse on this episode, which I appreciated.
I bet Winston did too. He's like, I'm bruised from you hugging me too hard. Don't leave me. We have to say goodbye to Joan. She was shipped away. probably barefoot into that SUV. Like, I don't think she was wearing shoes in this package.
That's what I was saying, like, like, she just, like, got put into that SUV immediately after. She's still in her PJs, like, and I just was like, "Okay, imagine the shame," because they obviously don't send her straight to LAX and be like, "Bye, bitch." Like, she probably just had to, like, drive around the block and then sneak back in
Yeah.
and pack her shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I there is a phenomena in Bachelor Nation called the two-on-one date,
Uh-huh.
and towards the end, the one-on-one dates, you put your suitcase by the door,
Oh, I remember that. From
and
old Bachelor episodes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so if you don't get the rose on that date or whoever doesn't get the rose on the two-on-one, a PA comes and collects the suitcase, and that's how the rest of the house knows, "They're not here anymore."
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I can't
Yeah.
wait for that. Well, thanks to, the magic of TV editing, Jerry's over it in a flash and he gets to choose someone for his next date. And
Mhm.
before we go any further, Erica, I need
Mhm.
to know, who is your least favorite person? Because, like, for me, around this moment, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't like Faith. Like,
Mhm.
if you don't remember Faith, she's the one who swims with horses and, like, isn't like other girls and is,
I
like,
drink
always
from the
playing guitar.
hose.
Like, she's such pick me energy, like, I
Yeah.
can't do this, but like, in this moment, she was, like, saying to camera, like, "I need this date because I don't think that Gary Jerry likes me anymore." The first impression rose, which she got, that was so long ago, and I'm like, "Faith, shut the fuck up."
Mhm. Yeah, Faith is really grinding my gears, but right now, I think April is my least favorite because, like, she came
Whoa.
in kooky, right? She came in kinda kooky crazy.
Here's a calendar where every month is April.
Great intro. It's like you said, like, Facebook advertisement insane, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like she's kinda mellowing, and I'm like, "April, I need you at an 11. If you're kooky crazy, embrace it, and I need you to be kooky crazy." You know?
So she's
So,
your least favorite because she's disappointing you for her lack of, like, insaneness.
now is not the time to be normal, April. Yeah.
Totally. Well, Ellen, is the next one to bag a date. I think the Gary Jerry had mentioned, "Oh, I really like Ellen's company. I just need to see if it translates romantically," which I'm like, "Damn, like, that's honest." But she is whisked away by resident fashion designer whose name I didn't write down.
Michael Costello.
Ah, okay. So she gets put into, like, a montage of trying on totally appropriate full-length gowns for
Yes.
a daytime outside date. And I was watching this and thinking, like, "Man, my husband is fucking up because I've never found myself going on a date or any occasion with him that felt like a gown was appropriate." Like, maybe one wedding that we've been to felt formal enough
Mhm.
for this kind of gown, but I don't know. I just, like, I'm dying to wear a gown.
Love a gown. Love a gown. I I do like to think of Winston picking an outfit for me to do some date somewhere,
Oh,
but then I think the other half of me goes, "Well, when you come to him and you're in an outfit and you say, 'Is this too much?' And he
right.
says, 'Yeah.'" That's the wrong answer.
So you're saying that you like the idea of Winston picking out a gown for you, or, picking out an outfit for you, but that you're kind of afraid that the outfit he picks, like, you won't like.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid. Now, all of my clothes are great, obviously. I
Sure.
feel like I put them together in the right way. Like, I'm not fashionable. I have style. I have a
I mean,
distinct style.
in these instances where a look is put together for you before a date, it's usually, like, brand new clothing. I think it comes in that whole fantasy of, like, 50 Shades of Grey, like, some rich
Mhm.
billionaire, like, is whisking you away and
Right.
is ordering you around and telling you what to wear. So it kinda comes from a weird place, but, well, I think my anxiety with it always is like, "Well, okay, where did you get this dress, though? Because
Right.
I'm different sizes in
No,
different places."
I was
And,
gonna
like,
say I need 3 copies of every outfit,
okay,
like my
like,
normal day, my bloated day, and my, like, Lean day.
I don't think that I'm like that. I'm not Dakota Johnson in 50 Shades.
Mhm.
Like, sometimes, what if, because what do you say? Hey, like you come out in your pajamas or like with the dress on, but doesn't zip up all the way and go, hey, this was a really nice idea, but like this doesn't fit me. I would rather, I don't know, eat a dump. I don't know what I would
There's a
rather do, but I wouldn't like it.
there's a PA with, like, 18, like, industrial safety pins ready to just zip that up for you. I just yeah, I would be like, "Oh, I don't have the right bra for this dress." Like, "Thank you, it's pretty, but what am I gonna do with these girls?" Like,
There's just like there's too
too many
I just don't
variables.
yeah, we're not let me buy you an outfit and not run it by you first kind of girls, you know? And that's okay.
There's a UK reality show, I can't remember the exact name, but it's basically the groom plans the wedding, so they're given XYZ amount of money, and the bride has no say, but they film everything, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I like that dress, she look good in that dress," and I'm like, "She hasn't tried it on. She hasn't had it fitted. What are you saying?" And they're hideous most of the time. Or he'll be like, "Which one's the cheapest?" "Yeah, let's do that one, okay. I gotta have my football cake." Like, it's insane, and I could never be on that show. So
I mean, maybe it's the producers or maybe it just needs to be like a precursor to divorce court. Either way, Ellen finally gets into like this bright pink number and Gary Jerry sees Ellen and his reaction to her outfit is that she looks great, but then he says, what completed the look was the smile on her face. Gary Jerry, like, kill me. Are the bachelors ever sweet like this?
are they? No. I mean, they're very sweet a lot of times, but Jerry Gary felt so sincere in this. Like, he
He
was made for this show. Like, they've been casting for this show, I feel like since 2020 or 2019. They've been putting out, "Do you know an older person that looking for love? Do you know blah, blah, blah?" So, I think they were just biding they were truly looking for the right person. And now do I have a theory about Jerry Berry and his first wife? Of course. I'll have to tell it on episode 4 behind the paywall, though.
I I wish I would have seen that because I feel like my mom would thrive on this show.
Yeah.
She as a
Yes.
certified crazy person, trash mama trash can, like she would just yeah, I think she'd be good TV. But okay, so Gary Jerry and his first wife were poor. This comes up in the date, but they're like boomers, so they're like boomer poor. So they probably had like a house and could afford to live on one income, but like just barely,
I
you know?
like that they said we were so poor we would invite our parents over for dinner because we knew they would bring us groceries.
Like, okay, yeah, I've been there in my
Yeah.
30s.
I'm here now.
Yeah. Like, oh, we were so poor when we were 19 and married.
God.
It's fine. But, just a little bit backstory, I guess, and then we learn a little bit about Ellen.
She met her husband at a summer camp when she was 10 years old. Now, the boy I thought I was going to marry at summer camp when I was 10-year-old put a Lego figurine on a necklace and then let me wear the necklace. And I was like, well, this my husband. And then the next day, I saw another girl with the Lego necklace, the Lego
Ugh,
man on the necklace. And I was like, the ball pin chain necklaces?
right.
He just looped a Lego man through it. And I was like, oh my God, this is practically my engagement ring. And he also gave one to another girl. And I was heartbroken. That's why I'm not married to this day.
Well, Ellen was married for 25 years to this man. So I have to assume that some time passed between summer camp and when they got together because
Sure.
my brain immediately was like, wait, what? They met when they were 10. So assuming that Ellen, like if they stayed together and got married when they were 18
Right.
and then it was 25 years of marriage, then that would mean that Ellen has been single for like 20 years. So I'm just going to assume that maybe there was a time gap and that she hasn't been single for 20 years. Which, if she has been single for 20 years, like, I guess good for you, girl. Like, get back in the water now on national television.
Mhm. It sounded like her husband didn't pass away.
No, it
Like,
sounded
they
like they
may
got
be
divorced.
divorced, yeah,
Yeah.
but they're not saying that, but it very much the language changed from, but yeah.
No, if
So,
he was dead, I think we would know about it
yeah,
because we know everybody else's dead husbands.
because I'd be crying, hugging Winston. So,
Exactly.
the 20 years, she says, is like, "Let her to this moment." It's sweet, and Ellen gets earrings, like, gorgeous earrings to wear
Yeah.
on their date with her nice dress, and the date is riding in a hot air balloon. Have you ever been kissed at 100 feet?
I think I've mentioned this on Trashy Trashy before, but I am not a hot air balloon person, so I would have to opt out of this part of the date. But maybe that explains why I've never worn a gown, because I guess a hot air balloon is a gown activity.
Who would know? I think I would love I mean, no, I'd probably be scared shitless in a hot air balloon, but if I was in one, I'd want to have a bunch of water balloons with me.
To
And I
drop on people?
yes. And then I duck down in the basket of the hot air balloon and pretend as if I'm not the only thing in the air for 4 miles. The only thing 100 feet above your head. Couldn't be us.
So, I mean, because he said that he would like, I get along with Ellen great. She's a lot of fun, but I have to see if it's romantic. I have a feeling that if this was about you and you're like, let's drop hot air balloons, I don't think you would have gotten the rose. I think it'd be like, oh, yeah, Erica's fun, but this isn't romantic.
Yeah, I'm trying to win America's heart, not Gary Jerry's at this point. You know what I mean?
Well, the next day, Teresa, who captured your heart, according to the last episode,
Mhm.
she's falling apart. She needs her Gare Bear. She's telling everybody who will listen, like how great their date was, probably for the fourth time, because at this point it's been like a week, so they
Mhm.
probably already know this. But she just like, she can't believe that she has to stew in this house and wait around when like her and Gary Jerry already made plans to go to Italy.
Yeah, I mean, she's already taken dual language classes, you know what I mean? But she's, probably telling anybody who will listen, and then she kinda opens her mouth to the wrong person, the K, and asking, "Kathy, ick."
Kathy Kathy cannot handle it. And she like makes it known to everyone except Teresa.
Which I understand you can vent your frustration, but to tell everyone, like, you need to confront the person. But I'm working on conflict management, so, like,
Sure. I
ride or
mean, we
die
can't
yeah,
expect that any of these boomers have been to therapy.
of course not. So April shuts Teresa down finally when the women are all gathered round, and she says to the group at large, without singling Teresa out or anyone even really knowing who she's talking about, she says, "If you have a moment, keep your mouth shut." Like if you have a connection with Jerry Gary, don't tell everyone about it.
I mean, this was like savage. And
Mhm.
Teresa immediately seems to know that it's about her because maybe she's just aware that she's the only person who's been like, just like not shutting the fuck up about it. Or she's
Mhm.
like, well, I'm the only one who's had a moment.
Mhm.
Whatever, however she knew it was about her, she pulled April aside and was like, hey, are we good, girl? And April was like, we're good, but you and Kathy are not good.
Are you ride or die if you defend your friend in public only to like immediately throw them under the bus when you're called out?
I don't know, but I think the damage was already done because it's cocktail night, and
Mhm.
when Kathy gets her time with Gary Jerry, she utilizes it by crying and saying how some of the girls are mean, and she just wants what's best for him, so she doesn't want him to end up with a mean person,
Mhm.
and I guess, like, you know, this made Gary Jerry, like, all hard in the pants because he was like, "Hang on one second. I'm gonna get you a rose."
She also had a photo of her dead dad,
Oh, yeah.
which I get it. Like, you have to pull those, like, emotional connections hard, but I think Kathy's intentions are good in general, but she's just really piss poor in her execution, like a gold cover turd from turdyworks.com. It's gold, but it's still a turd, you know?
So, I'm starting to panic for Teresa at this point. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
because Kathy never names Teresa,
Right.
of like what the girl that's being mean. But, Gary Jerry really liked Teresa on their date. And Erica, I know that you liked her too.
I was worried. I'm gonna be honest, I was worried. She's very tiny. Kathy even commented on how tiny she is. She can't defend herself, you know? But I feel like Teresa is used to being around her family and friends and able to share and speak of things. She's used to real world, and this is the Bachelor Mansion, and it's a very unique thing where you are friends but competing, and I really don't want Teresa to go over Kathy's interpretation of how things are going.
I mean, I hear you, but also like have some couth, you know?
Mm,
Because like
yeah,
you are all dating the same person. It's kind of giving like Brandy and Monica don't mess with my man a little bit, of like, man, they're really both boasting about being with this same guy, which in the case of that song is like the guy is the problem. In
yeah,
this case, like this is the game that they signed up for. But anyways, Teresa pulls Kathy aside and Kathy lays into her ass. I mean, she doesn't let Teresa get a word in. And basically is like, you're being possessive, shut your mouth, bitches get stitches. Every time Teresa tries to say anything, Kathy's like, no, not yet. And Teresa, I mean, she sends
yeah.
Teresa off in tears.
She's like something along the lines of like, our words are our responsibility, and like we have to be, like it's our responsibility. We have to own it. We have to just like be accountable. And I'm like, God damn, Kathy. But Teresa gets her moment alone with Gary. He finds her crying in her bedroom, being comforted by Faith.
Yuck. I mean, bad luck to be comforted by Faith. That almost made me go like, man, is
Uh,
Teresa like good? Because
yeah.
I mean, I am so anti-faith. And I'm like, the company you keep, girl.
Well, she didn't like ask Faith to come with her. She
No, I
was
know. Faith was probably like, I should try to make my first girlfriend in my life.
right. Yeah. We could go to the watering hole together.
No, see,
Uh
this is why girls don't like me.
yep. Yep. So Teresa's crying because she's like, I didn't mean to be boastful. And, I know Gary ain't here for the drama, and Faith is very nice, comforting her, but I don't it's somewhat troubling sometimes to see like the 20-year-olds on The Bachelor fight like this. And I really don't want to see it with widowers and grandmas. It's kind of heartbreaking.
You know, hopefully this isn't too personal to share, but one time I heard my mom complaining about like some guy that she was dating who kind of ghosted her. And I remember thinking to myself, fuck, this never gets better, does it? You know? Like
Oh
I was
God.
single at the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom just was like heartbroken over this dude. And I was like, there is 39 years that separates the two of
Yeah.
us. And apparently, like, the bullshit just never stops.
I hear my parents now talking sometimes about like, well,
Right.
listen to this. And you're like, no, 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 no. I don't think I'm your child. We're not gal pals or like boyfriend,
Yeah.
girlfriend, friends. Like, no, 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 no. I don't need to know any of this. Until you're walking down the aisle, I don't want to meet somebody else. And that's just me being an asshole. I want my parents to be happy. But for me, the little kid in me is like, no, I don't want anybody else. So it's
I
hard.
mean, I was like that too when I was 11.
Now, I'm like 11.
All
My
right.
parents only are divorcing recently. So it's
Um,
like,
we made it to the rose ceremony.
ugh.
Teresa is pressed on whether or not she's going to get a rose.
I'm like on the edge of my seat because I'm like, are the producers really going to fuck us with this one?
So Pick Me Faith gets the first rose. Underrated Sandra gets the second rose. And when he asks, will you accept this rose? She says, like a hole in one. Girl, what the fuck does that mean?
Is it like a golf joke? Like a sex joke? Did we miss like a sexy golf moment between them? Like,
I I didn't I hope it was so weird. Anyways, whatever. Sexy dancer is next, Leslie. Nasty Nancy, and then 6-inch heel Susan, and then finally Calendar Girl April is the penultimate rose. So Askin is through. We have another week of all 4 members of Askin.
I want Sandra to join this so they can be Saskin, but I just like Sandra.
I get it. I mean, it could be like Askin, you know?
Askin. Oh, yeah, yeah. So the suspense is like really building up, and it's like they're down to the final rose. So this is where Jesse comes back in and is like, ladies, this is the final rose of the evening. Gary. And then he leaves again. It's just such an insane trope. But
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be Teresa or is it going to be one of these other 2 women who haven't been featured at all? Oh, by the way, I need to say this quickly. It's not in the notes, but I need to say it because it's going to drive me crazy. Edith, that woman is like my aunt. They haven't said if Edith is Cuban, but she has the same voice
yeah.
as multiple aunts, Cuban aunts of mine. So Edith is Cuban for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sad that she didn't get enough time because,
Yeah.
I always root for Cubans. I
Edith
can't help myself.
Edith and Christina. Yeah. We don't know shit about Christina.
Oh, we don't know a damn thing about Edith. The only reason that I know that is because I'm guessing based off of her accent. Here's what happens. Dun dun dun. Teresa gets the final rose.
Oh, thank goodness. No red herrings.
And is immediately back on her bullshit.
Yeah. Teresa leans over to Kathy, who she knows probably was no doubt strategically placed next to each other, and asks, how are things with Gary? And wants to keep talking about it. And maybe she's trying to be nice.
Kathy answers. She's kind of vague. She's like, oh yeah, Gary Jerry's a great guy, blah, 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 whatever. And Teresa is like, oh, I know. He's so great. He actually came to my bedroom to find me. And Kathy is like, no, shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about. Yeah. Do you think it was justified?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know who to root for in this situation anymore, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, so Kathy was an educational consultant in Texas, right? So she's probably used to having her way and her say and kind of controlling things a lot. So she's probably
Right.
very comfortable telling everyone the best, more efficient ways of not teaching critical race theory, how to dope in high school football, and how the Mexican government just gave the Alamo away, except, you know what I mean? I feel
Right.
like
What you teach in Texas.
what you teach in Texas. So I just assumed she was kind of set up to be next to each other. I mean, obviously the producers picked that, but I think Kathy's just this isn't professional, you know?
Well, our after credits sequence showed that fortunately or unfortunately, Erica, you and I are Kathy and 6-inch heel Susan. I'm not going to say who's who. I mean, they basically are saying in this after credits sequence, if they don't leave with Gary Jerry, they
Mhm.
intend to leave with each other. And then there's just this super long bit about Susan's guacamole farts.
Which I mean, am I
It's
Susan?
insane. They're like, yeah, Susan's smelly ass. It's the guacamole. And
Yeah, another lady comes in and is like, "Oh, Susan's fault." It's everyone knows.
Everyone knows that it's Susan's digestion is not where it needs to be and that her ass just stinks.
Is that how she cut the board, the karate board? We didn't see the full chop. It's just she sent a fart wave to it.
I'm telling you, Susan is by far the most well-rounded person on this show. I don't even know how her and Gary Jerry's interactions go. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about that. I just know she's a hairdresser and a wedding officiant. She does karate. She masturbates with high heels and she can't digest guacamole. How do I know that much about her? And I don't think that Gary Jerry knows a fucking thing. Oh, and she looks like Liza Minnelli. It doesn't matter.
These are the list from that MTV dating show Next. You get your 3 bullet points.
Is.
Susan's next.
It is. Okay, Erica, closing statements. We have
Yes.
to, we might be behind the paywall, but we do have to stop.
We got to wrap it up. So is Teresa naive or dumb, like a fox? You know what I mean? So she's playing a very interesting game, is because she comes off very sincere, but I think she may be a psychopath. And there's a difference between a psychopath and a sociopath, which I looked up this morning because I think people use them interchangeably, and they're not. So a
Okay.
psychopath lacks guilt and remorse and empathy. They pretend to feel emotions, have the inability to form true emotional attachments, tend to be successful, dishonest, manipulate behavior, have narcissism, and superficial charm. Whereas a sociopath, it's like a lot of CEOs are psychopaths, right?
Sure.
Sociopaths are more the criminal track of this. So they lack remorse, but guilt and empathy may be present in some cases. Some emotions are felt, mostly rage, but they're very shallow and fleeting. They may form close attachments to one or few individuals. They are very irresponsible, repeatedly violate the law, lying, deception, aggression, and reckless behavior. So I think she's a psychopath.
You're suggesting that Teresa is a psychopath?
Yes. I'm not Team Kathy, but I am suggesting Teresa's a psychopath. And
Damn.
that's what you pay for, people. And that's what you pay for.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was just gonna say that Teresa's just like some dumb boomer who is a little out of her league. But uh never mind, girl. Um Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for listening to episode 3 of the Golden Bachelor recaps. We hope that you're enjoying this show and the show on ABC. I mean, if you're not watching it along with us, you're really trusting us to tell you what happened. Uh, but we appreciate you subscribing to the Patreon, and we just love you, baby trash cans.
We love you, baby trash cans. Thank you so much. And please tell a friend if you'd like to be able to commiserate with them and let us know on Patreon. Are you a psychopath or are you a sociopath? Yeah, we'll have a little comment thread going. What's your
Sure.
sociopathic and what's your psychopathic traits? So,
What could go wrong?
what could go wrong? What could be admitted into court for evidence?
Uh-huh.
As always, you can find us at Trashy Trashy Pod on all socials and have a great day. Bye, baby trash cans.
Bye.